I've known you now for a few years, and you've always had a next goal lined up. And you went skiing recently, yeah?
The skiing is every March up in Norway, and it's a brilliant event for disabled skiers, mainly visually impaired.
Yeah.
But it means you need to start thinking about it pre-Christmas, because if you turn up there not fit, you're not going to enjoy yourself.
How did you find it then this time around when you got out there skiing after all the work?
It was the best year I've had, actually. I think I'm probably 7 to 10 years I've been doing it now, and just having that confidence that I was as fit as I could be, because there's always setbacks, aren't there, when you're training. But I was fit as I could be. Weather was great, snow was great, and in fact, someone said to me yesterday that actually it's the equivalent of running between a half marathon and a marathon a day,
Right.
in terms of the distances you're covering on the skis, which is brilliant. It's not. So compared to the downhill, where gravity plays a major part in generating speed, on cross country you're generating the vast majority of the speed and control. But you're out in the mountains. I mean, what's not to like? Fresh air and out in the mountains. And that's brilliant. I use the Ski Ergo, which is a brilliant piece of kit. And if people haven't used that, they should definitely try it. And then I stretch. So despite having been a footballer who never stretched when they played football, did they? So I'm learning to stretch and do that as I get a bit older. It makes a big difference. So that is good.
And Ski Ergo, you've been using that recently. Again, particularly we did that going into this trip as well, going into that more.
It's great, but it's something which I try and use all the time if I can, because it adds that extra bit of heart rate to things. And if people haven't used it, and I use it in probably 2 or 3 different ways. So one is, when you're doing cross country skiing, you do what's called, so the traditional one is called diagonal, so you're going side to side, which obviously the other one is double poling, so you're pulling down. So that machine is brilliant for emulating the double poling. But I do also do the side to side, because that gives, it's all getting your muscles used to doing different things. And I even used it for cricket, actually, when I was just that side movement, and for golf. So that movement just sideways. So it's a very useful piece of kit.
And so I remember when you were getting ready for cricket, wicketkeeper as well. We'll point out, always behind the stumps.
I played everywhere. I tried everything. And blind cricket is a lot of fun, because you play with the size 3 football, with ball bearings inside it, which makes the noise. So actually hitting it is relatively easy, as long as you can see a little bit, or you can work out where it is. Bowling is actually really difficult. If I had more injuries bowling because of that arm action of the over the top thing, trying to control a football, and then the jerkiness of it caused many injuries. So being prepared for that was probably the first time you trained me on it, actually, was about how to build that sort of stuff up.
It was. I remember that very well. And you're doing really well on there. And then there was cycling as well then. You would regularly go, and particularly in the summer, out tandems.
Actually, we cycle all year round. So my pilot, who's another local guy, a very keen cyclist, and we literally cycle, even if there's, well, not with snow on the ground, perhaps, but, we go out all through the winter and do 20, 30 miles around West London, so around Richmond Park and around there. And of course, on the back of a tandem, it's a very different motion to cycling a bike regularly. So once again, building up the leg strength and that mobility. Founder members at the park club.
So you're about 2,000. So you've been in our orbit for
in the family
20 plus years. Once we get your clutches into you,
I think my daughter was the first child in the creche at the park club.
Brilliant.
I think, well, bear in mind, I only got Varley 4 years ago, so he's only ever known the Hogarth, right? And the Hogarth's only ever known him. But the way people sort of just love having him in reception, right? He's, like you say, he's one of the favourite members, because everyone loves going and saying hello to him. But I think the people side of it is just the most important, and compared to the park club, the Hogarth people are just so much friendlier, and they're willing to help. The number of times when I come in and my wife will get me onto the Vario, and then you or one of the team will come over and say, let me know when you need moving somewhere else. Or if I'm wandering through the gym with my white stick out, then actually members often just come. I think they don't want me to bump into them anyway. So members come and help. Well, it's just good, because it just makes you think a bit differently about what your training is. And of course, because I keep injuring myself doing different things, then your first question to me is, what injuries have you got? So that helps. It makes me do things that I wouldn't do on my own, right? So you do much more. Before the skiing, you were doing a lot more leg strengthening, or before a big bike ride, you're doing different things. So it just enhance. Because I think most people do go through certain routines when they're training, don't they? And I'm no different. I love being on the machine, because I don't need to think about where I am on the Vario. So I'm not, with a lot of exercises you're moving around. With my lack of eyesight, I struggle with doing that. But no, it just makes me think, gives me different things to think about. It makes me ache for days afterwards, of course,
Oh.
which is the other
Yeah.
thing, which means you've obviously done some good.